From a flightless simulator at Ferris Air to a momentous meeting in an alley to the complex mind of an architect to every far sector in space and to the brilliance of the central power battery on Oa. This is the podcast that covers the adventures of all of your favorite ring slingers. This is the Emerald Echo with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Emerald Echo, a Green Lantern podcast and vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me is my co-host, the Emerald Enthusiast himself, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, everyone? It is the Emerald Enthusiast, and we're back with another episode of the Emerald Echo.
Indeed we are. It's, how can I put this? Absolutely wonderful to be back. And that cheesy pun should maybe give you a hint of what we're talking about. Maybe not, but if it doesn't,
Dad joke humor.
Yeah, and I'm not a dad, at least not that I'm aware of. I hope nobody comes knocking at my door.
Well, this kid came knocking at my door with a Leafs jersey on last week, and they said, "Do you know this guy from Canada who wears glasses?" And I'm like, I forgot to call you about that.
Well, listen, if one of them is from my Multiverse Wives on one of the 52 Earths, it was the other me, not me. He can pay child support.
Yeah. Although the kid said his favorite player was Mitch Marner, so I'm like,
listen, no matter what universe his father's on, he's disowned. I'll tell you that much. So we're dealing with Absolute Green Lantern today. That's the show, specifically issues 2 to 5. Although I was about to say episodes, and that would be fair because in the title of each comic it says episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5. Right. So I could call it an episode, and it would make sense in this case because that's what it's called in the issue. Is there anything that you've noticed before we get started on the issues? With news-wise with Green Lantern, because I haven't really seen much.
We do have confirmation. I don't know if we talked about this last time that Kyle Rayner will be on My Adventures with Green
Yes,
Lantern.
we did. I remember we did talk about that. Yes.
Well, it was a rumor. It was going around as a rumor. Now we have confirmation that Kyle will be on the show.
Well, that's good for, again, as we said last time, if you're the type of fan that can accept that, My Adventures with Green Lantern is an adaptation and not a direct,
right? Yes,
regurgitation of the source material. Then most of us will find that cool that Kyle is making an appearance in the show.
Mm-hmm.
For those that need an exact reprint of the comic books on the screen, this may be problematic for you. But ultimately, at this point, I'm tired of people being that rigid. And so if it's a problem for you, just don't watch the show.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can I tell you?
When I was listening to, Dan's channel, Mosaic Comics, and he talked about how, everybody wants to see Blackest Night adapted, myself included.
Of course.
Yeah. But that takes a long time to set up. And if you want to do that, you have to be invested in these characters first. For people who want to see Kyle in an Emerald Twilight scenario, you have to build up a lot of things to get to that point. If you just throw him into Emerald Twilight again, it's not going to mean a lot to people. If you don't know who Hal Jordan is, we aren't that familiar with the Green Lantern Corps. And again, I'm talking about casual viewers here, not you and I, not people who already know.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people who don't know.
And why? Think about it. I know people want to see these storylines, and I do too, believe me.
Yes.
However, why would they do that in My Adventures of Green Lantern that is focused on Jessica being the lead? Mm-hmm. Now, given what we know about Lanterns, the live action show, and how, the creatives involved saying if things go well, we could envision this as a multi-season series. Well, now we're talking, because if we have multi-seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how, the actor playing Hal is on older side,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Emerald Twilight and all those things become more of a possibility.
Yes.
But on My Adventures with Green Lantern, that is clearly geared to Jessica being the lead.
Sure.
So what? I mean, to me, looking at it, doesn't make sense. Hey, let's do Kyle's story and let's do Blackest Night. It doesn't make sense on a series that is first of all geared primarily to a certain age demographic. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, and number two, focused on Jessica.
Right.
So you like when you're looking at each individual project, you have to look at, okay, what's the age range? Who's the lead? Those things need to be part of the discussion, and not just as a fan, I want to see this. Well, great.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like as a fan, I want to see. You know, for example, and just to unnerve some people, I'll use a Batman example. As a Batman fan, I want to see something other than Year One, The Long Halloween, The Dark Knight Returns, adapted to film. Like I want to see elements of other Batman stories adapted. But right now, it's largely been Year One, Long Halloween, Dark Knight Returns. That has been the tapestry that filmmakers from Tim Burton to Chris Nolan and now Matt Reeves, that's what they've chosen to use.
Mm-hmm.
I've liked all those interpretations. I want other versions of Batman sprinkled in as well. But am I going to sit here and say, well, you better give me this or I'm not going to watch it? No, obviously I'm not going to do that. Because at the end of the day, in this case, I love the Green Lantern mythology and I love Batman. So whatever they're going to present me, I'm going to give it a look and give it a chance. And then if personally I don't think it's a good adaptation or I'm not liking what I'm seeing, then maybe I'll choose to check out. But initially, I'm going to check. I'm going to give it a watch and give it a chance.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm just happy that we're getting Kyle.
Kyle is there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That should be that way. Hey, look, Kyle.
Yeah.
And in your case, hey, another Kyle action figure. I'm sure is what you're thinking, right? So this is the kind of, you know, there needs to be some more thinking along the lines of, okay, you gotta look at the details. So in the case of the Green Lantern mythology, because there are so many lanterns, you have to look at, okay, who's the lead? I mean, there are going to be other Green Lanterns, obviously, because that's the nature of the beast with Green Lantern, but there's always going to be a lead, right?
Yeah.
In this case, it's Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you know, you look at it this way right now. Look at all the adaptations that are out there. Simon Baz is out in the cold. Joe Mullane's out in the cold right now. I would love to see those characters come in somehow, some way.
Yeah, and again, we haven't seen Kyle in an adaptation since Superman the Animated Series or Justice League.
He was on Justice League Unlimited a couple of times. He made a couple of apperances.
Okay, so we're talking what, 2001?
Yeah. Oh no, I believe that show ended in 2006.
Okay, so even still, we're talking about 20, almost just about 20 years.
Mm-hmm. He did. There were a couple of times that like he made cameos where his name was mentioned. There was one time where like a hologram was shown of him, but no like actual straight actual appearances.
Right. And so like, you know, so I mean, let's celebrate the fact that after almost 20 years, Kyle's back on the screen in another adaptation that isn't the comic book.
Right. Yeah,
and again,
we're going to get something, and it's like I said, I like the idea of Kyle being introduced to a new generation, because again, you know, at this point, if you're you know, a teenager and you've never read the comics, will this be the thing that, you know, gives you the motivation to go and read the comics?
Right.
And does Kyle have a renaissance? I hope so.
Like maybe with younger, especially again, with the age demographic that my adventures of, Green Lantern and Superman, the demographic they are first and foremost trying to attract are the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are apparently, here's an example. My Adventures of Superman content is apparently big on TikTok, like TikTok. Jesus, I'm old. I don't even know how to use TikTok. That's not my guy. I can't even
It's big on the TikTok.
Yeah, that's the TikTok. That's right. No, I'm just going to call it TikTok from now on. Screw it. Donnie, send us up on one of those TikTok things. But can you imagine me doing a Leaf content on TikTok? I'd probably get banned within seconds. So like.
Actually, there are quite a few Leafs fans on TikTok.
I mean, yeah, probably there are, but I would probably get banned after like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But so like with My Adventures of Superman clips being huge on that service, I'd venture to say that My Adventures with Green Lantern is targeting the same demographic. So if they gravitate towards Green Lantern comics because of this show, great.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. And look, I initially wasn't hot on My Adventures with Superman. Like when I saw the previews and stuff, it was like, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot because it's Superman, but it doesn't look like it's for me. And then I ended up loving it. So that's the attitude I go in with it now. So I'm just, like you said, I'm excited to have Kyle and whatever form it takes. Again, I'm not expecting a page-by-page adaptation of the comics, even for Jessica. It's going to be different.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I expect them to explore her anxiety, but I don't necessarily think they're going to go as dark with it as her actual comic origin.
Like breaking news, here another example. Smallville was an adaptation of Superman that did not adhere strictly to the comic book timeline or continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And did I have issues with certain filler episodes? Yes. But by and large, that show carried the torch for the character of Superman when there was no live action movie in sight because they couldn't figure out what the left hand and the right hand were doing, and they were at odds with each other. And at a time when the Superman comics were in the doldrums. But that show, in spite of its alternate take on the material and continuity, carried the torch for the brand of Superman and created a whole new segment of fans for the character. So if this My Adventures with Green Lantern can do that for both Jessica and Kyle, fantastic. More power to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. I'm just happy Kyle's getting some screen time, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. But people got to just learn or accept that these creatives are not here doing page by page copy and paste jobs of the comics. That's not the job they're being tasked with. Now, if you want that, like for example, and this may come to fruition, right now they're doing those. I don't know if you've seen them. You can find them on YouTube. They're going through. They've gone through Batman Year One, Long Halloween, and Dark Victory. The audio dramas. The high volume, and the Batman high volume, right?
Yes.
Where they're kind of like the audio reinterpretations of the comics with the actual pages and panels. I mean, look, if they decide down the road to do other characters and Green Lantern is one of the characters, then that's a way you can get that story told, verbatim, and that's cool. But these animated series and live action shows are not that. Like, for example, Superman, the movie Superman that we both really enjoyed.
Which, by the way, 13 million views in 10 days.
On HBO Max. But, a certain cult of fandom is saying that it was a failure.
Oh, yeah, of course. There are fans out there that...
But wait a minute, Donnie. It already has a sequel on the way. But it was a failure. Okay, sure.
But no, their thing is that, well, it didn't make $1 billion. Because it didn't make $1 billion, it was a failure. So when you put the goalpost that far...
listen, I may have, in my head, a multiverse of wives. But at least I'm not delusional. Like the way these guys talk would be the equivalent of me trying to convince the world outside my door that the Leafs have a dynasty of cup winners for the last 10 years in a row. Like, I'm sorry, it hasn't happened. And I mean, that's about as like I can go spouting that, and that fandom that we just talked about can go spouting that Netflix or Peacock is going to resurrect the Snyderverse. Neither of those things are happening. The Leafs haven't had a dynasty the last 10 years. Believe me, I know. I've been watching. I wouldn't know if that was the case. Maybe in the Peacemaker Earth X, but I don't want to live there based on the episode I just saw. And I can assure you.
Now I have a question. If you got up and you walked into like one of those scenarios like Peacemaker, where you found one of those like Nexus worlds, and you could walk into one where the Leafs had won like 5 championships in a row, or you had you saw the cups lined up.
Yeah.
Would you go and stay there?
But wait a minute. Are you saying it has to be like a Nazi-run world? Because if that's the case...
No. I'm just saying that, if you saw that...
Listen. Look. If the Leafs have five cups in a row on any universe, provided the Nazis aren't in control, I'm gone. Bye. I'm gone. You ain't seen me again. I'm taking one of my multiverse wives and I'm out of here. Because what? Listen. Look. When it comes to the Leafs, what the hell's keeping me here? Nothing. If my happiness is solely dependent, if my happiness on any earth is dependent on what they're doing, give me one of those devices that Peacemaker has with the doors, and I'm gone. I'll find a way. Maybe I can do the show from there, or maybe there's an alternate universe version of you there that I could do the show with. But what if the alternate version of you over there is like a Montreal fan? That would be disgusting.
Oh, that would be bad. Yeah.
I don't know what I would do then.
I'd have to go confront that guy.
You'd have to come in and beat the crap out of that version of yourself, and then we could take over the show. That would be
there you go.
So to answer your question, though, I would go. I would definitely be gone, without question.
A couple things I want to point out too, as far as collectibles go. Number one, there is a Sonic the Hedgehog DC crossover series of figures. I bought the Silver the Hedgehog as Green Lantern. I have that review up on my channel. That's Emerald Enthusiast. And there is also coming from McFarlane an Emerald Twilight Hal Jordan that should hit the market next week.
Yeah, so hey, listen.
I was talking to Daryl Banks about that. I was like, dude, this is gorgeous.
Are you going to get him to sign that for you? Or are you gonna...
Hopefully I can hook up with him again sometime in the next couple of years so he can autograph that for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I guess McFarlane's making the most of the license until they lose it. Because they have it until 2026, right?
And yeah, they do have it until sometime in 2026. And there has also been there's circulating a list of figures that are supposed to hit like waves that are still incoming. One of which is Jessica Cruz. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, so now here's my hypotheticals, but your hypothetical is more, like it's going to happen, unlike the one we just talked about where I'm leaving to a universe where the Leafs have won 5 cups in a row. Although if that's out there, something, please alert me and let me know so I can go. But my question to you is, with the DC license, going to Mattel in 2026, it is Mattel, right?
Yes, Mattel.
Okay. So when they start doing Green Lantern figures, are you going to be also buying those now?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have to, this is future.
I may have to thin out some of my collection here to make room.
Here's just what we're talking about collecting. Just a point.
with Green Lantern stuff, a lot of time, even if it's something that I decide every once in a while, there'll be something that I don't really collect, I'll still get it and review it for people.
Yeah.
Because I'm for anybody who for anybody who might want to see it.
But then you can also sell it, right?
You could always I could open it up, review it, and sell it. But for anyone who might want the details on that,
sure, yeah,
I would get it and review it for them.
I just want to say, as a collector, I was disappointed recently because the McFarlane had a pre-sale for a couple of Batman Returns figures that I was eyeing. And they went on sale the 19th, which was the day before Batman Day. And literally, I went online 20 minutes after they went live. All the pre-orders were sold out.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted my Michael Keaton Batman. I wanted Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman because, since I was, what was I, 9 in 1992 after seeing that movie, I wanted to take her home in a different sense. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I won't elaborate. So I wanted that figure, and I wanted Danny DeVito's The Penguin. All three were sold out. I was disappointed.
And what's really bad is those scenarios, people get online, and immediately you'll see people have them on, eBay, Mercari, places like that, and the price, and they're jacked up. So and it's really sad for true fans.
I'm hoping when they go on sale, there'll be some that I can snap up, because I've been waiting for figures from that. Again, what I'm trying to do is, as an adult, is figure out which figures my mom gave away when I was a kid without my knowledge, and I'm trying to get them all back. And so, that's what I'm doing. And my 89 and Returns Batman figures were some of the ones that my mom discarded. Now, again, they went to a good cause. She gave them to the poor, right? But my whole point of contention was, I was never consulted. Had I been consulted, I would have gave a certain amount of toys, specific ones. I would have gladly, parted with them. Probably not the ones she chose, but I digress. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, at least the ones that she gave away that I really enjoyed, and bringing them all back slowly but surely.
What would make a great story is it like in like the DC cosmos, if there was some like entity who is driven by like uncluttering and would go around and unclutter all of these characters without their permission, and she came by one day and uncluttered all of Larfleeze's stuff. And he wakes up one day and finds everything gone.
That would be a fun story.
Man, that would be a blood feud after that. He'd
become a Red Lantern after that happened. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for news and collecting talk. So we'll take a quick break, and then on the other side we'll come back and we'll do issues 2 to 5 of Absolute Green Lantern. Stay tuned.
Absolute Green Lantern. You will absolutely not want to miss this.
Indeed. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? It's the Emerald Enthusiast. For all of your multiverse viewing and listening needs, check out our shows, which include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, the Marvel Universe, and the DC Universe, including the Emerald Echo podcast. You can check us out on Podbean, and remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. That's the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. From the first podcast to the last. And we're absolutely back.
Indeed. There's no doubt about it. We are absolutely ready and excited to talk about this alternate universe take on Green Lantern that is the Absolute Universe and Absolute Green Lantern. So, Donnie, set the table for us. Where are we going?
Okay, well, we're going to open up here with episode 2. And it opens up with like 3 panels that are mostly black with the exception of this ring shape. And we're seeing that Joe has the same vision of this ring of light. And that's what is in these 3 panels that Hal did. And she hears a voice telling her that she must be without fear. And we see a couple of phrases within these 4 issues that are kind of cryptic, and they're somewhat meaningful because we know Green Lanterns have to overcome great fear, but we're seeing this particular phrase early on, be without fear. and that she must exist. This is what this voice is telling Joe, at the green level of light.
Yeah, for me, like what I just based off the start of what we're talking about. Clearly, they're using that the whole concept of being without fear. They've kept that intact.
Mm-hmm.
But this concept of the green level of light, that's that so far that's the spin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very horror tinged version of the Green Lantern universe. It doesn't function in the same way that we're used to.
You know what I kind of from issues 2 through 5, what the vibe I'm getting. Do you remember that Amy Adams movie Arrival?
A long time ago, yes.
It gives me those kind of vibe, like that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like just something about it is giving me that kind of feeling, but it is very like it's like I said, they've kept core tenets of basic tenets of the mythology and spun it in a very unique way that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, they're moving the chess pieces around here, so there's some familiarity here, but at the same time things are happening in a different way. And everything it's like I said, it's kind of dark and mysterious. And one of the things here is that Hal is back. Hal is in that diner, and Joe comes walking in, and she has the green energy swirling around her. And Hal is like, you have that same green light like Abin Sur does. By the way, Abin Sur acting very differently here too. And she asks Hal, what happened to your hand? And neither one of them really know what's going on.
Yeah, he's out of the. He's totally not keyed into what the hell's going on. Like I've never seen Hal so. I don't know if confused is the right word. Mm-hmm. Out of his element.
Well, a lot of people, were complaining early on. They're like, "Oh, they're making Hal Jordan the villain again." Hal is definitely being used here.
Yeah.
He's infected with this black energy, and so he doesn't know what's going on. And you'll notice in a couple of different places where his word balloons go from white to black. Yeah. He's being influenced by whatever this entity is, this energy that's overtaking him.
Yeah, because in the issue, like when he's talking with Joe at this ragtag diner that gets even more destroyed shortly thereafter. He at one point he says, "It wants the light. You need to get out of here." Like he's telling her, "Leave." Mm-hmm. Like there's no indication in what we see that Hal wants to do any of this.
Yeah, I mean, he is, we saw that right away, with him having in issue number 1, with him having his hand in his pocket. And he was walking along on his own trying to figure out what's going on here.
He's a deer. You can see he's a deer in the headlights in this situation, right? He's kind of like me when I'm watching the Leafs in a Game 7 situation. I don't want to see them do what they're going to do, but it's going to happen, and I'm an unwilling participant.
Yeah. So we get a flashback in Evergreen, and it's 5 days before, and the townspeople here are seeing what's going on with Abin Sur. And the entire town is out here, and they see that Sheriff Guy Gardner. So again, another familiar face used in a different way.
You know what? I gotta say, Donnie, and I mean this with 100% respect. I thought of you when I saw this version of Guy Gardner.
Because he has the beard and the bald head.
Yeah. Like, it looks like Donnie. I was like, cool.
His beard's a little thicker than mine. I got to work on that.
You could go for you could go as the absolute version of Guy Gardner for Halloween.
Sheriff Guy Gardner, yeah. So he has this confrontation with Abin Sur, and he tells his deputies, Rita and Roy, to lower their guns. and tells the townspeople, don't provoke Abensur.
He's a
And
very
so he
different
tries,
version
he
of that
tries to
guy.
reason with Abensur, but when Aben doesn't react to Guy, he asks if he understands what laws are. And Aben replies that he summons the green energy in his hand. And as he's saying this, he summons the green energy from his hand and he says, judgment will commence. And he's being very cryptic. Again, I talked about these cryptic phrases that come through here. Judgment will commence. So Guy and Roy they pull out their guns and they point them at Abensur and they order him to stop whatever he's doing, because at this point people are petrified. But Aben simply orders Guy to be without fear. There's that phrase again, be without fear, and tells him that he does not exist in the spectrum of light.
Yeah.
So that's what I like here about this series so far, is that you're guessing exactly what Aben means, because in some ways he's acting villainous, but at the same time he points out that his point of view, and he does this later on, is he is not the villain here. That's how he sees it.
Yeah. What I see is, first of all, when he talks about spectrum of light, again, what you were saying, they're using concepts we're familiar with, but like you were saying, rearranging the chess pieces,
Mm-hmm.
What I take away from this version of Abensur is he's much more alien than the main universe counterpart. Like, Abensur, and to a point, all the alien, or not all of them, but a lot of the alien beings that we see in the mainland Green Lantern books are humanoid-esque in nature and demeanor. This Abensur is nothing like a human being in emotion and in appearance. Like, if you look at him, like, he's got what, 4 arms?
Yes, and the head tail like Saint Walker.
The head tail, and he's just like, he's so cold and very emotionless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really amplifying the alien aspect of Abensur, whereas in the mainline, like, he's a purple humanoid, like, he just looks like a bald purple person.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just think because I don't think he's a villain either. I just think they're amplifying his alien nature. Is what they're doing.
Well, and here we see that it's a very interesting scene. He and Guy, they continue to discuss things, and eventually Guy stands down again, and Aben, without very much ado, seemingly atomizes him.
Yeah. He seems to be vaporized.
I was interested when I saw this page. The word here the full page spread here, when Guy is atomized in front of John and Hal and Joe, the word that comes out as the type of energy is flash, which you see that word used a lot when Green Lanterns use their ring.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, has he been obliterated, or has he been transported somehow to another place, another realm of existence, or something like that?
Yeah.
Because this doesn't, to me, and I could be wrong, it may turn out to be this way, doesn't look like a kill shot.
And we learn later on that seemingly isn't the case, that he's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
But initially, on the surface, it certainly looks like he's been atomized, as you said.
Yes. So the other deputies here, Roy and Rita, they shoot at Abensur, and their bullets ricochet off, seemingly this like automatic force field that comes up. It's not the same kind of, bag type of energy that we usually see, like the aura type of energy with Green Lanterns. It's more focused, but at the same time, their bullets bounce off.
Mm.
And one of them hits a bystander. So at this point, Abensur, he decapitates Rita and cuts off Roy's hand. So Rita's
gone. That much we know.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't coming
And
back.
then he turns to Hal and says, Hal Jordan, judgment is in progress.
And
Now, at this point, Hal Jordan, we see that Hal Jordan has a gun here.
he does.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird visual though. Seeing. I'm not used to seeing Hal with a gun.
Yeah, well, and that gun comes into play later on too.
Yes, it's kind
But
of like his makeshift construct that he can't get rid of.
mm-hmm. But Abin Sur, and it's like you say, Abin Sur is acting. This version is acting very, very odd here. He has his lower two arms crossed, and his other arms are just kind of hanging at his side, and he's saying these cryptic messages. And then all of a sudden, he just turns into this swirling ball of light and just leaves.
Yeah,
rockets up into the sky.
he's gone. Yeah.
So back in the present, again, this was 5 days prior. Joe asked Hal what he does with the gun, and it actually emerges from the blackness of his hand.
Yeah, like a construct almost. Which again is it's a really cool visual, but it's jarring because I'm not used to seeing Hal with a gun.
And this is what I'm talking about here. If you see, there's a panel here where Hal and Joe are talking, and Hal puts his hand up to his temple. He's obviously having some discomfort. And then the next panel, and again, the gun is already out here. His word balloon switches to black, and his eyes are black too. And so, like I said, I mean, at this point, you can tell that Hal is not, at the very least, he's only partially in control of his mind.
Yeah, but at this moment, he's definitely not in control.
So we cut back to the past with this giant bubble type of dome around the town.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Joe, Hal, and John, they come together again, and John tells them nobody's coming to save them. And they have to figure out a way to deal with Abin Sur.
And again, you mentioned off the top of the show, or this segment, I should say, about this version of Green Lantern having a horror tinge to it. And it does remind me, isn't there like a Stephen King book that involves like a dome around the town?
Yeah, it's called Under the Dome.
Right, thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminded me of that too. When I as I was reading this portion where the dome becomes apparent.
Okay, and so like I said, the three characters there, John, Joe, and Hal, are saying they've got to do something to take Abin Sur out.
Right.
John takes out what looks like just a regular gold ring, and he says he found it in the street out of his pocket, and he says that he thinks he knows what he can do with it. But like I said, I mean, as this issue closes, there you get this full. By the way, brilliantly drawn. I really like.
The art's fantastic. Yeah.
He looks. I like the glasses that he's wearing.
Yeah.
It's John, but it's a different version of John.
He looks very, very worldly, very stately, very intelligent. With the glasses. I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I wear glasses because I don't look intelligent. I don't pretend to be. I mean, how intelligent can I be if I keep going back and watching the Leafs every year?
I think you're quite smart, buddy.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the issue and definitely kept me wanting to read more. And luckily, because we're reading a bunch in a row, I could keep doing that, which is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's rate them all at the end.
Yeah, let's rate them all at the end.
It's all one story anyway, so let's just keep.
Let's hop on to issue number 3. And the first page looks very similar to issue number 2.
Yeah.
Only this time we get these 4 black panels. They're mostly black with the little ring, and it says, "John Stewart, you must have knowledge to command the flame. You must be without fear. entirely without, and then John cuts it off and says, I know.
Yeah, John's tired of this cryptic stuff. He's
Yeah.
like, let's move along.
Yeah. So we see here that Todd Rice, who's the owner of the local coffee shop, comes out to talk to John and look at the body of the dead biker on the other side. And Todd says that everything is surprisingly calm, and John replies that the people are still expecting the authorities to show up and save them. Interesting here, talking about how people deal with trauma, that, you know, the first stage of some catastrophe happening is people to automatically think, okay, there's got to be some kind of automatic mechanism here to deal with this. And we saw in the previous issue that John is like, no, we're on our own here.
Yeah.
People are still expecting that, and we can't expect that.
Yeah. No, clearly, like, if they're going to get out of this situation, it's going to be of their own accord, not because, you know, anybody swoops in to save them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like the other heroes in the Absolute Universe are going to come in and save the day either, because as of this moment in time in the story, each of the Absolute heroes is unaware or unfamiliar with the other heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That's about to change in December when Absolute Wonder Woman meets Absolute Batman, but for now, they're not aware of each other.
Yeah. And so we get something that should be very familiar to longtime Green Lantern readers, but used in a very different way. So John reveals that the ring that he has was actually an earring from the dead biker who crashed into the dome.
Yeah, it's not morbid at all.
Yet it passed through the barrier somehow. And he throws it at the dome, and it actually penetrates the dome, lands on the other side. Now, this is a gold ring, which I've got to assume in some way represents the absolute universe's yellow impurity.
Yeah, that's what
that used to be such a big part of the Green Lantern mythos.
And again, this is one of those moments where we've all seen the gif of Leonardo DiCaprio getting excited, pointing at the screen because he got a reference. that was me when I was reading this comic.
That's a good one, yeah.
I'm like, there it is. I know this.
Yeah. So now that's another flashback. Again, we there are several like different days that we see the scenes play out within these issues. So back in the present day, Joe's still talking to Hal. She's still radiating the greed energy. He still has the Black Hand with the gun out. And he's actually crying tears that look like oil.
Yeah. It was kind of creepy.
So Joe yells at Hal to get control of his hand, and she creates a giant construct fist and punches him out of the diner and into the desert. And she flies over him and warns him that if he can't get control of this Black Hand, that she's going to do it for him.
Which is very bold of her, because how do you know you're going to be able to get it under control? If Hal doesn't know what he's dealing with, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah. Well, and I think I omitted the part here. What I meant to say, he blasts her, and that's why she responds the way the way that she did.
But again, he warns her and tells her, you got to leave because this thing wants, you know, the green.
Well, you see here in the panel, he's beseeching her, how are you controlling the energy that you have? Because I can't control what I have here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so the thing I took away from that is, like, again, for anybody complaining about how Hal's being portrayed, he's warned her multiple times, get out of here. Something bad's going to happen. So I don't accept that complaint that people have of, look how badly they're treating Hal. You know, so yeah, I mean, there's multiple examples. I just question: are people actually reading what they're complaining about?
Yeah. So back in the past, John rounds up Hal and Joe and tells them to join him at the edge of the dome here.
Yes.
And he tells them about the ring, but he also says that it wasn't actually real gold, that it was just an electroplated tin.
Yeah.
And he takes a gold-colored plastic action figure from Hal, and he's able to push it through the barrier.
And it's funny,
And
the action figure is Blue Devil, by the way, which is a nice.
right, the action figure is Blue Devil, and John is like, yeah, and it actually depreciated in value. And
I think we can all appreciate that as collectors. You know,
yeah, we've all been there where we thought, oh, this action figure is going to be great. Everybody's going to want this, and then all of a sudden, it turns out that like it's on clearance somewhere.
It's
Yeah,
just you. But yeah, I thought it was a nice reference to Blue Devil, which is a more obscure DC character.
So anyway, John shows us here that anything that appears to be gold can actually pass through this barrier of energy.
Right. Which is a new take on like the yellow impurity, because if it all it has to do is pass as gold, then some paint and some objects nobody wants anymore will do the trick.
However, there's a point made here that John actually produces his grandmother's ring that is an actual gold engagement ring. And that seems to have a much more severe effect on the energy than the things that were just appearing to be gold.
Real gold will be better served.
Yeah.
I love the plan. Well, let's get everybody in the town to bring their gold.
Yeah. So of course Joe thinks, can we possibly use this to make an exit? And John's like, we probably could, but he thinks there's a lesson to be learned here. Whatever's going on with this dome and Abin Sur, that there's something that's going on that's beyond just being trapped here.
Sure.
And before he can explain, Abin Sur comes down again, and again seemingly just atomizes him.
Abin Sur is kind of like the Undertaker; he just appears out of nowhere.
But he uses the phrase that judgment is in progress. John's being judged.
Yep. And then away he goes, atomized and seemingly disappears. But we'll see him again.
Yeah. So Joe, Hal, and Todd, as they mourn John, Hal was like, we were wrong to treat this situation like it was some kind of mystery to be solved.
Right.
It won't end unless I do something about it. So he goes home and paints the bullets in Rita's gun. He paints the bullets gold in Rita's gun. So he paints those bullets gold, thinking this is what's going to be the solution to dealing with Abin Sur.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends, is that you see him at a table painting these bullets gold. Again, I really like the way the energy is drawn here. The energy's familiar, yet it's not.
Yeah.
Joe and John, they're familiar, yet they aren't.
I really like this art style. It really works for this version of Green Lantern.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the fight scenes. Now, typically, Typically, I'm not a fan of anime, but the fight scenes do have an anime kind of feel to them, and they work in this context. So I appreciate that.
So we move on to issue number 4, and this is called Episode 4, Chaotic Action. And it's similar, yet it's different. It's 4 equally sized panels again, and we see the ring, only it's changing from a ring to an orange background with a black star.
Yeah, the orange got me thinking about Larfleeze, but just briefly, because then he never shows up, obviously.
Well, but black stars should mean something to Green
Yes,
Lantern fans.
definitely.
There's another familiar name.
Yeah.
But the voice in Hal Jordan's head tells him that judgment has been made, but he can make penance.
He's
However,
given the
there's a
opportunity.
new voice here. There's a second voice, and it says that he's always been right. The truth is that God is not a ring of light. God is a dark circle around everything. Now, that's an interesting imagery. That's an interesting image.
And very alarming if that's the case, because that's quite a depiction of God,
Mm-hmm.
and very far from the typical depiction, and very far from the Grant Morrison depiction of God that we saw in his Green Lantern run.
So we cut back to the flashback with Joe and Hal in the desert, and she's trying to get Hal to snap out of it, saying that, of course, she doesn't want to hurt him, but he replies that he wishes she could.
Yeah. And again, another example, Hal does not want this.
No.
He doesn't like what's happening.
So he tells Joe to run, but she refuses to leave. And he's angered by the fact that she won't follow his directive. And the black hand, the black energy seemingly regains control, and it expands and reaches out for her and shoves her out of the desert.
Mm. And this is the issue. This is the part where the black hand, or whatever you want to call it, engulfs Hal in like a mech suit, right?
Yeah, it's almost like an organic mech suit. It's kind of somewhere between like a mech suit and like a symbiote.
It's like Venom and Iron Man had a baby.
Yeah, but you see, there's also these little flecks of orange in it.
Yeah,
and that's similar to what we saw on the first page.
Yes. Very, very interesting look. I was intrigued by the look of it, and again, that orange has to have meaning, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but
Okay, so the scene cuts back to the night before, and we see that Hal, Joe, and Todd Rice meet up at the diner. And they seemingly think at this point that Abin Sur has killed everyone else in the town.
Right.
And that they're the only ones left.
Right.
So they concoct a plan that Joe's going to lure Abin out into the open, and then Hal will kill him with the gold bullets that we saw in the previous issue.
Mm-hmm. And initially, it works. It seems to be working perfectly.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she goes out, demands for Abin Sur. He comes down and meets her, and she asks why he killed everyone. But Abin Sur, again, I mentioned earlier that his view of what's happening here is not what the human beings are seeing.
Sure, yeah.
She asked him, why did you kill everyone? And he says that he accidentally killed the biker, Jason Simmons, and when he crashed into the barrier, and Rita was killed by a stray bullet that had killed a bystander.
Yeah.
And so he's basically, what he is saying here is that all of these things happened by accident. It was not him who was actually he was not the catalyst of the murders.
Yeah.
But he also says, interestingly enough, he has not ended the existence of anyone else.
Right.
So we see that there are 3 deaths here, but those were accidental, and the other deaths are not actually the end of existence.
Guy and John are alive.
So, and Joe says, she's like, you incinerated Guy and John right in front of me. But he says, no, I have not ended their existence.
Yeah.
And then he tells her that also the missing townspeople, they exist in Oa, the Alpha Omega second stage. And that their judgment is still in progress.
which was a really interesting way of bringing Oa into the equation. Again,
Yeah.
familiar concept, but way different than what we're used to. And again,
Yeah, exactly.
what I'll say is I actually like that. If you're going to do an Elseworlds take, right,
Mm-hmm.
then it should be, that's the point. The point is to make it different, make it unique. Otherwise, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, during
if you're
this,
gonna
Hal
do it,
is aiming the gun. Go
right.
ahead.
No, if you're going to do it,
So
then
during this,
embrace it and do it, right?
yeah.
Is my thing.
So Hal is aiming the gun at this point, waiting for the proper shot. But Joe asks Abensur to explain and if he can bring the people back. But he tells her the continued existence must be within the light. And he tells her that he is Abensur and that An must be selected. An Rao, Ansur, An Ur.
And I'm confused. That's what I'm like, huh? I'm like, now you've lost me.
So Abin says that he initiates against the dark, and it must be selected, and tells Joe to be with fear and to fear the weaponers of, and I don't know how to say this. It's obviously based on Quard, but it's Qard. So I guess it's card. Because I've never seen a word exactly
I would
like
just
that
say
before.
part just to keep it.
Well, there's no W in it though. It's
I know, but hey, it's all. This is all make believe anyway, so we can make believe a word.
So Abensur once again starts to just transform into energy and to fly away, but Joe calls after him. And she reaches out to him, and her hand within her solid gold wedding ring passes into him.
Very creepy.
This is just an incredible image here when she actually touches him and she sees all of these various images, one of which seems to be, I don't know, I guess that's Tomar Ray.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and another one, this seems to be Sinestro down here at the bottom because it's a yellow eye with kind of a pinkish, looking kind of like a Korrigarian eye.
And I like the way that page was put together. Very creative.
Mm-hmm.
Very creative layout for the page.
Yeah. And so Abensur, he falls back to the ground and screams chaotic action and anomaly. And the Green Lantern symbol falls out of the sky onto Evergreen. Remember, we saw that in the very first issue. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which is, I'm now wondering, was that Abensur's ship?
Well, it's definitely interesting because this thing, it's solid. It's not just energy.
Yeah. So I'm very curious as to what exactly its purpose is.
Yeah. So back in the present, we see an armed security come out, and this helicopter lands, and it's carrying a company owner and his assistant, and they land in the wreckage here, and then a man comes out, and he doesn't look like we usually see him. This is Hector Hammond.
Right.
Only he's just kind of a suave, well-dressed version of himself.
Yeah, but he seems like a
He's still a jerk. I mean, it's his personality.
Like you can tell he's crooked, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, right away. In
fact, he has that used car salesman stereotype vibe going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if the assistant, the female, is going to be revealed to be Carol Ferris.
Well, we'll see here. But you talked about the fact that how, that he seemed kind of nefarious. We see right away in this issue. So again, a very familiar page here. 4 equally black panels, with the exception of the last one here. We see the ring again, and it says, Todd Rice, be with fear. Judgment is not in progress. Mm-hmm. and Abensur cannot be appointed. You are unknown within the spectrum of light. Be with fear, be with fear, be with fear. So again, the cryptic messages, and he has obviously been injured, but then Hector comes over to him and says, basically, tell me what I want to know because I'm the one who's going to decide whether you get medical treatment or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty vicious to someone who's obviously very injured.
Certainly is, yeah. I mean, you don't have much of a choice in that situation.
So Todd tells Hammond that when the Green Lantern fell on Evergreen, Joe disappeared and Hal was unhurt.
Mm.
And Hal threatened Abensur with his gun and demanded to know where Joe had gone.
See, that's a little bit of the Hal we're used to. You know, that sure of himself, brash. Like that was a little bit of the mainstream Hal. You know, just peeking through a little bit, which was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. So Hal empties the gun. Remember the gun with the gold bullets into Abensur.
Yeah.
And Abensur it does penetrate his shields, but we see that he's bleeding that same kind of like black blood.
Yeah. Looks very familiar to the Black Hand type of thing.
And Hal initially thinks he's dead and he's deformed, but he is not dead.
Yeah.
And Aben grabs Hal by the hand and he screams, "The Black Hand."
So now that makes me curious was Abensur more of a Black Hand type of figure than a Green Lantern figure in a way? Because if you think about it, when Abensur, grabs Hal and says the Black Hand, now look at what we're seeing with Hal. That's kind of an inverse, like a remix of, in the mainstream continuity, Abensur gave him the power to be Green Lantern.
Right.
And now here he is seemingly giving him the power to be a Black Hand or the Black Hand. So it's kind of...
Well, and interestingly here, he melts away and he tells Hal that judgment's no longer in progress. And Abensur could not be appointed.
Right.
Meaning that whatever this judgment is, or this whatever this mantle that was about to be passed along is not.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks how far out was the world that's coming, and he warns Hal to be without fear, to fear the Black Hand and to fear the Black Star.
Yeah. So
again, if this is the type of thing. Obviously, the story is very slow burning here.
Yeah.
And if that's not your jam, you may not like this, but I do. It's Green Lantern, but it's Green Lantern kind of deep fried in.
And what it is? You know what it is though too. It's a fresh new look at Green Lantern. So it's like for you and I as fans who have been reading a long time. Why I think the Absolute line is working so well is because we don't know where it's going. We don't know what to expect. Whereas, remember when they did the New 52, for example?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, the histories were compressed and compacted, but we knew, the characters were still the characters we were familiar with. The stories we were familiar with still happened, and in their own kind of way. In terms of so most of it was still familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is totally uncharted territory right now, and that's across the entire absolute line, and that's why I think it's working out so well. Why it's doing so well.
So then we cut back to the desert battle with Hal and Joe. And Joe tells Hal to stand down, but he continues to attack. And you once again, the word balloons are black. He's not in control here, and he still has that blackness around him, as well as the the orange portions now look like eyes.
Yes.
And it's also overtaking part of his face, and his eye resembles that as well.
Yeah. I don't know what exactly is happening to him, but that hint of orange is throwing me off, I gotta say. Like black, I get it, black hand, but that hint of orange is really throwing me off anytime I see it.
So he demands to know what happened to her, and she replies this, and she launches herself into him. And again, still, she's completely at this point just engulfed in the green light.
Yeah.
And she even she has the symbol on her chest.
Yeah.
And she tells him that when the Green Lantern fell, she instinctively flew away. But by the time she realized what was happening, she was lost in the desert with no way to get back. And she tells him that she felt a pull towards him, but he responds that she was pulled toward the Black Hand. And Hal, notice here that he continues to morph and change until he is absolutely, with the exception of the orange sections, he's engulfed in this blackness, and he no longer looks human.
But yeah, no, very much so, yeah. It's again, I'm wondering if are they kind of fusing like the Black Hand concept with the Orange Lantern and Larfleeze's whole deal, in the sense
it could be, but at this point he's not like acting greedy.
No, but here's why I say it could be, because on multiple occasions he says something to the effect to Joe about the Black Hand wanting the green light, wanting her energy.
And and at one point he screams at her, "The ring! Take off the ring, Sojourner Mullane! Take off the ring!"
Almost like that's why I'm saying I get a little bit of a vibe of that, if that makes sense to you.
And this triggers a memory from Joe, and we know this is a memory because she starts thinking about this, and it's in like grays and whites here. And this was the time that she breaks up with her ex-wife. This is when she's going through the breakup with her ex-wife.
Yeah. But I just want to mention it because I don't think I've said it, and I can't remember if you said it or not. I really like the way that the story has been constructed, in terms of alternating between flashbacks and present day stuff. That's really been well orchestrated and well put together.
Well, and we see here that in this flashback, the reason why there's kind of a parallel here is when Joe is breaking up with her ex-wife asks for the ring back.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Give it to me." And back in the present, as Joe responds to Hal, she's like, "Make me." I'm not taking the ring off. So there's an emotional connection here. And we know emotions are very important in the Green Lantern mythos. So at this time, and now at this point, Hal is just this like mass of like boiling black and orange energy. And Joe's trying to fight him off, but he's becoming more and more monstrous.
It's like I said, in the way it's handled and the way it's drawn, it's almost like slowly but surely Hal's being taken over to the point where he's becoming less human. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
but yeah, the horror, and here's where the horror tinge that you were talking about is really starting to take over.
Well, and even at one point here, Hal seems to have like teeth in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
This giant hand that's reaching out for her seems to have teeth.
Yeah, which is a disturbing visual.
Yeah. So as Joe gets closer to Evergreen, the Green Lantern, the big symbol, activates and rises up into the air. And at this, it has been on its side. Now it's actually floating upright in the air. And a tendril from the mouth that we were talking about comes out and grabs her by the ankle and manages to expand across her whole lower body. And she sends power into the darkness, lifting Hal off of the ground. And she flies back toward Evergreen, dragging Hal behind her. And she flies them both into the center of the Green Lantern, and they find themselves in this black void along with John Stewart,
Right.
who is glowing with yellow light, and he's in like a yoga position.
Yeah.
And he says, "Be without fear." So again, right when you think things are can't possibly get any weirder, they do get weirder.
You know what that kind of reminded me of? It was kind of like when I saw John like sort of with the yellow light surrounding him, implying, yellow lanterns, right? And the Sinestro Corps and all that. But also the way he's in that yoga pose, I'm like, okay, so it looks like they're melding the visual of the yellow lanterns with the demeanor of the blue lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the vibe I got. But what a page to end it on, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I've been loving this series. I like some of the things that's come after it too, but obviously, I mean, we're ending with issue number 5 today. So
yeah. So, but yeah, great page to end the issue on, for sure.
Yeah. So story, I'm gonna give it a 4, and the art, I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm loving. I've got acclimated into this art style now with this series, and I really like it. So.
Yeah, like I said, what to me, where it succeeds is that it gives you enough of the concepts that you're familiar with, but it's so unique and so different that as a longtime reader of Green Lantern, I don't know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, and I love that. And it's the beautiful thing about it is I don't have to call back on years of continuity, right?
Right.
This is just a fresh thing that I can read and enjoy without thinking, okay, so does this call back to this, or does this mean this? You know what I mean? So, again, it's familiar but wholly unique, and that's why I love it. And again, I may not watch a lot of horror movies because that's not my jam. And why would I watch horror movies when for 32 of my 42 years of life I've been a Leaf fan, and that's horror enough?
I knew where you were going with that even before you said it.
Yeah, and so that's why I choose to not watch horror, because I watch it every other day when the Leafs play. But I like this Stephen King-esque element that this version of Green Lantern has going for it. So the story, I'm going to give it a 5, just because I'm so on the edge of my seat every issue. And then the art, I'm going to give a 4.5. I really, really like it. It's like I said, it's got some manga influences at times, but I think for the fight sequences and at times Hal turning kind of monstrous, it works. So that's why I'm giving it a 4 to 5 for the art. But yeah, so far I'm 100% into it, and I can't wait for it to continue and to see where exactly it goes. Yeah. But yeah, I think that wraps this episode up. We will, of course, be back with more absolute issues in an episode down the road. So we'll keep track of this and we'll keep reviewing it, of course. But in the meantime, if you want to talk Green Lantern with either Donnie or myself, you can on social media. Donnie, where do they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, and of course YouTube as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics, let's talk collectibles, let's talk Green Lantern.
I am on Blue Sky. I am on the hellscape known as Twitter. At Adam_leafsfan. I'll put one of those two in the description.
I'm also on the Tic Tac, as Adam
Yeah,
calls
he's
it.
on the. I am not on the TikTok, but as of yet, we'll see. You never know. But we also have a Facebook group, which I will put in the link below. Click that. I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there if you so choose. But until next time, Green Lantern, absolute Green Lantern, is forever. From the first time Aventura says, judgment is in progress, to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.